Okay, so we are continuing the plushie from last week. I'm just going to swap over. This is what we got so far. One completed leg and one that is at, we just completed row 19 of 31. So, let me just get my announcements out here. So last week I didn't stream at all because my roommate had ended up in the hospital, which I was going to pick him up. He ended up in the hospital Thursday night, and I went to pick him up on Sunday. By the time I picked him up, it was too late to stream, in my view. So, lots of different things, and so I didn't end up streaming at all. And then the weekly, the Thursday night stream didn't happen until, well, no, it happened a little early, honestly. But when it happened, oh, I just realized you guys are getting to see me do all my posting the stream announcements. That's okay. I don't mind if people watch. I'll get to crocheting here in just a few, but okay. Okay, so now that I've got those, but yeah, what with him having ended up in the hospital, and me going to get him, I just didn't feel up to streaming. So, okay. I did happen to get to spend time with the little girl that this is for, this weekend, today, actually, as we got together for one of the first times since the pandemic. I mean, we've been together a couple times, like Christmas, things like that, but this was the first time we went out to a restaurant together as a family, which is something we used to do at least every couple months. And even when we finished, my partner's father was like, yeah, let's next time just get together at one of our houses, and that way we have time to hang out. Nobody feels the need to wear a mask. We don't feel rushed. So I'm glad that they've made that decision. I know that they miss eating out and stuff, but I'd much rather our families be safe than that we go and eat out. Okay. So now we are on row 20, which we're going to do a decrease, 10 stitches, and then another decrease 3 times around. So let's get started. I'm betting we can finish this leg today. If we do, I won't be able to close it off the way I did the last one because I was a derp. There's got to be a better word than that. I was dumb and left my scissors over at my desk. So, today is 4th of July. I'm not gonna give that a ton of emotional energy. We're not doing anything for it. There is still a pandemic raging. So I do not feel safe going to the fireworks displays in town. Too many people not wearing masks. So the best thing about it being 4th of July is that tomorrow I get a paid holiday from work, which, as we all know, work has been very busy and crazy, and so I could really use the day off. I'm going to be having to schedule a day off soon-ish, since I will be house sitting for a friend, and I've decided that I want to spend the first day of house sitting just getting set up rather than working, so I'll be scheduling that when I get back to work on Tuesday. That gives them almost 2 weeks' notice. Because if I'm going to be house sitting for them for a week, then yeah. No, that should be my decrease. Okay, so hold on, having to do something. 1 decrease, then 10 stitches, so that's 11. Second decrease comes on stitch 12. 10 stitches, so 22. So 23 should be my decrease. Okay, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so I do need to... There we go. Alright, so... 23... I am starting to think a lot about switching from Twitch Studio to OBS, because I would like to have the chat overlay onto my game when I am gaming, because at the moment, when I am gaming, I'm missing a lot of the talk from the chat when people are trying to talk to me, because I can't see it because my game is in the way. Okay, so right, we are now on row 21, which is just single chain around, 33 stitches. So, and as I said last time, we will be I will eventually get this pattern written up as a proper, easy-to-read pattern, not my scrawled notes. And then once that is done, I will make it available for people. Probably have a link to it on the stream. I need eventually to get my own website set up. I've been planning it for a while, since I do a lot of writing, things like that. Or I used to. I'm trying to get back to it. And much as I love Etsy, I would kind of like to move to a store that is not Etsy, since they keep making changes that make it harder and harder for crafters to actually make money with their crafts, such as the fact that you can only receive payment from them through PayPal, and now PayPal is increasing their rates, things like that. Not that I make a ton of sales through the store, but it would be nice to know that I have a safer place to put stuff. If I do websites, I'm going to have at least 2, not just the one. So one for the store, and then one for the writing, because quite a bit of the writing is not safe for kids. So what I could do, I suppose, is just continue to do the Etsy store and then do the writing as its own site. But I don't know. I'll figure it out eventually. Right? That's what we do as adults. We don't really plan things. We don't really know what we're doing. We just kind of figure it out as we go. Okay. So, the joke in my household is, I need an adult. You are an adult. Well, I need an adultier adult. Speaking of things as an adult, I have been doing a very good job of keeping up on bills, which is nice. Good to always know that the money is being put to its intended use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33. Okay. Sorry, just wanted to make certain I was on the right count. Okay. So, around 22. I am thinking of switching over to OBS from Twitch Studio, though, mostly because I want to be able to do things like see the chat overlaid on my game. Also, I would like to get access to some royalty-free music and play that for you guys, so you don't have to just listen to me chatter away the whole time. Apparently, one of my kids, at least, likes to listen to me chattering while I'm streaming because he finds the topics I discuss interesting, fascinating, etc. But I don't always have a topic planned. So it just kind of is whatever my brain comes up with to talk about. And some days I just don't have anything. Like today, head empty. No thoughts. Except maybe about chocolate milk, because I've got a chocolate milk in front of me. I was never one of those kids who thought chocolate milk comes from brown cows, or eggs come from brown cows, things like that, or brown chickens. But that's because I grew up on a farm where I was exposed to the process. Oh, here we go again, Mason. More farm stories. I'm sure people love those, you know, given the amount of death and, you know, things like that. Okay. Thing is, people don't realize that it's not cruel to humanely kill an animal for food. It's definitely not cruel to humanely kill an animal that would otherwise be suffering, such as a chicken that got attacked by raccoons, a calf that is lamed and will never be able to walk and perform natural functions as a calf. I mean, you gotta look at quality of life. That said, chickens are amazing in their ability to recuperate. However, it takes a lot of very intense care sometimes to get them on that road to recuperation. Someone that I have known for quite some time, who has chickens, and in fact has a chicken cam on Twitch if you're ever interested. I believe it's under KSonny, Sonney. One of his hens got injured pretty badly. I think his wife described it as debrided down to bone, so there was visible bone, and it was on her back, and the wife was very, very concerned that the chicken would not make it, but Kevin, knowing the healing powers of chickens, put her in a outfit. And yes, you put clothes on chickens when they're injured so the other hens don't attack them. It's not a cruelty thing with chickens, it's just they are dumb, they see open flesh and they go, ooh, food. Now they can be cruel, they can bully each other mercilessly, but you know. Anyway, she is still wearing the outfit but has reached the point she is now, all of the injury is healed over, and she is starting to regrow her feathers. Once she has regrown the feathers, she'll be out of the outfit and back to living a normal, unclothed chicken life. But yeah, animals can survive a lot. But when when raccoons got in our hen house, killed a whole bunch of the hens, and just completely mutilated one of our roosters, I had to snap his neck, because it was the less cruel thing to do than to try and force him to live a life that was not a comfortable life for a chicken, because he wouldn't have been able to walk appropriately, he wouldn't have been able to perform natural functions like dust bathing, he certainly wouldn't have been able to perform his job duties as a rooster and ensure that the hens were mated. So it was just a merciful thing to put him out of his misery and prevent him from having a life of suffering. It's just, sometimes you have to look at it and go, okay, what's the best way to do this that's going to cause the least amount of damage? And sometimes you can save an animal, sometimes you really can't. And sometimes it's not fair to them to try and save them just so you can think, well, I did it, or, well, I tried. Sometimes you look at it and you go, what are the chances of success? And if those chances aren't good, then it's not fair to the animal. We as humans tend to feel guilty if we don't do what we assume is everything possible. And I get that. We all get it. Everybody wants to know, I tried. But sometimes it's just not worth the try. You gotta know when you have to back down too. And I mean, I've seen people. I just watched another friend of mine from online who had to rehome one of their dogs because that dog was aggressive towards their other dog, and they tried their best to fix things, but the younger dog just wouldn't, and would attack the older dog and left the older dog in a e-collar with stitches on his face for quite some time. At which point, crated them both, let them out at separate times, and looked for another home for the younger dog, who is now going to live on a different farm with no other dogs and will be a very happy, productive dog. But sometimes you just can't keep trying to force it, and you just have to let them go sometimes. Alright, so on this round we're doing a decrease and then 8 stitches, so it's 9 every time. Going to end up with 27. Gonna have to count here in a few. Okay, I should be at 18 stitches, so. Okay, there we go. I'm right on track. So. Alright. So, we've got, let's see, this is round 24, which means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to go. So, yeah, we're going to finish it tonight. This leg, not the whole plushie. I do have some other yarn that I'm planning to make another of these. The other one that was just almost the tie with this for what to make, and that was the two-legged wire-framed elephant. So I'm hoping to get that one made as well, and that'd be nice to have both. And then I'm planning, stretching. I am planning another plushie as a gift for a friend who has recently rediscovered his love of the Discworld series and was kind of gushing to me about how much he loves Errol, the swamp dragon from Guards Guards. I used to know a designer who had a pattern for a swamp dragon plushie that was very, very Paul Kidby-esque. But it turns out they have removed all of their patterns from circulation and it's no longer available. So instead, I found the most famous of the Paul Kidby illustrations of Errol, and will be making a Errol plushie based on that. I don't think I will be streaming it, because it's going to be a very big, very finicky plushie. It will probably involve me cursing quite a bit as I check my drawings and go back and go, nope, that's not going to work. But we'll just have to see. As I finish pieces, I might show them on the stream just as a, hey, here's this piece, here's that piece. Then again, that might be a little difficult since I am planning to do a wireframe armature so that the Errol plushie is fully posable. We'll just have to see how that works. But for the moment, that is my current plan of what to work on. I've got some older plushies that I need to finish and haven't. Those are... One of them I'm stymied because I am trying to make a hippocampus, so a mermaid horse, I guess would be what they are. And I've got it made, tail and body up to the shoulders, and it's a wireframe armature too, so it is one that I can fully pose, or it will be once it's done. The problem I'm running into is, one, I'm going to have to make the hooves out of, like, air foam or air dry clay, and then paint them. And unless I could probably get some black air dry clay. Anyhow, I need to make the hooves, but also I'm struggling to figure out how to fit the shoulders up into the head and how to make them look natural, because I am going for a more natural appearance on the head and neck and front legs. And my goodness, horses, how do they work? They are not built in any sensible way, shape, or form, which makes it a very interesting prospect trying to figure out how the heck to do it. Okay, so we're decreasing, and then 7 stitches. So it'll be 8 per. That'll get us to 24 stitches total. This is row 26. For anyone who is, I don't know, maybe crafting along. I seriously doubt anyone is, but, you know, if anyone is, then that's where we are. Maybe I should do like a knitted craft along thing. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, so... If I do end up making the arrow pattern, I will of course want to write it all down as I'm going, and hopefully, I'm definitely not selling that one. Like the elephant, I could sell my pattern. I could sell the plushies made using the pattern. 13, sorry, counting. 14, 15, 16. Okay. But the arrow one, since Discworld is the intellectual property of the Pratchett estate, I would not want to infringe upon their copyright of the Swamp Dragons, and so I would not sell or monetize in any way that one. That is just going to be a gift for a friend. But making the pattern available to others who also want to make gifts for their friends, great. That's totally doable. Because, of course, crafting is about love and sharing and giving of your time and energy to either create something that brings you joy or create something that brings others joy. And I mean, there are people who craft to make a statement, which, okay, they can. For me, though, crafting is about love. And even the crafting that's about making a statement is generally coming from a place of righteous indignation, almost always on the behalf of someone, either yourself or someone you care about. Such as the many, many crafters who have done things for Black Lives Matter, even if they themselves are not black, because they care about people who are disadvantaged, and therefore they make something to display that. And generally they donate to the various protests of what they make. After the pulse shootings. I made certain plushies that were LGBT themed in colors and donated the proceeds of those sales to the various organizations trying to help the victims. In, I want to say it's March, it is a month that is devoted to blood donation, and so I have a plushie that is a red blood drop, and any sales of that, a portion of the proceeds get donated to the American Red Cross. At least I think that's where I donated. I'd have to double check. So, I have never needed a blood transfusion. However, my mother did when she was in Holland and had my brother, because there were complications, and she needed, I think, 2 bags of blood in the end. Somehow... Sorry, I'm trying to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm very bad at aiming the camera. Not that you're seeing much. I mean, it's yarn under, or hook under, pull through, yarn over, pull through. You know, it's a pretty simple process, pretty repetitive. I know that people are like, oh, it's you use a stick and string and make magic. And yes, I mean, I especially feel that way about people who can knit. It's like, how did you do that? I certainly can't knit shaped things, just squares and rectangles. I did get a book on knitting, though, so maybe I'll learn how to do other stuffs. Eventually. Up until now, I have looked and looked and looked and not found anything that was like, here's how you do an increase while knitting. Here's how you do a decrease while knitting. And everything I found, no information on how to do either of those things, which are kind of important. Okay, so that was our single stitch around row. So now we are moving on to decrease and 6. We're going to have 7 stitches per. We'll have 21 at the end. And then we've got one more stitch around, and then one more decrease row, and we will be done with this leg. Okay. There's my decrease. So so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will say, I've got a lot of people who've seen this have been like, how do you do that so fast? How do you just, you know, whip that out? And the thing is that, to me, it doesn't feel like I go fast at all. To me, it feels fairly slow and ponderous. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Because I've got friends who, they can make an entire sweater with crochet and or knitting sometimes in like a week. And yeah, no. I mean, it took me 6 months to make a custom plushie for a friend of mine, though part of that was mental paralysis, because I was so worried about not doing a good job, about it not looking right, because it was a custom memorial plushie for a friend who their pet had passed away very, very suddenly. And I was working from photographs, trying to get it as close to an exact match to how that particular pet looked, and that is a very, very tricky job doing that. And I would be regularly, I'd start work, and then I'd be like, this doesn't look right, it doesn't look enough like him, it's not going to be good enough, and I would just stop work. And the problem with that kind of paralysis is I also, anytime I had other things to work on, would not do them, because every time I tried to start something else, my brain would go, no, you need to work on this memorial plushie. And so I was completely paralyzed from doing the memorial plushie, and I was completely paralyzed from doing anything else. The only things I crafted during that entire period were either commissions that I was being paid for, or a few masks for me and my kids. And I felt guilty anytime I was sewing on those instead of working on the plushie. I just, you reach a point where you're like, I just can't, until everything is taken care of. And I'm glad that I finished the plushie. It's not perfect, and he's gonna eventually send it back to me for revisions so that I can add the things that were not there, but that'll be a later thing. But at least he has it for now. And oh, hey, we came to a color change without me even realizing we were going to. So apparently this one's going to start as orange, end as blue, with green in the middle. Unlike the other one, which started as orange, or started as blue and ended as orange, with no middle color. Okay. Hello, Mervin. Okay, so funny thing, I was literally just talking about the whole you take a stick and a string and you make magic that people have. Okay, so that was our row 29. We got 2 more rows on this. I just cut my fingernails and now I can't use the blasted lobster clasp. Okay. And if you guys notice me doing weird things every now and then, what I'm doing is I'm noticing loose or stray threads, because this is a very ridiculously splitty yarn. And so I'm going back and I'm hooking up those loops so that they won't hang off the finished plushie. Right, so this is row 30, so we're going to do a decrease, 5 single crochet, and then we're going to do it again. So it's going to be 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we do it again. We do that 3 times, and we end up with totaled 18 stitches. Then we'll do 1 more round, and then I'll have to go find my scissors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Are you being a shark, Mervin? Right. So. Okay. 1 more round. Oh. Yeah, I always forget that people can hear my phone when it does that. That is you just got an email, or you just got a text message, or it won't let me customize for individual things. If it did, Facebook would not be allowed to make noise at all. Keep trying to turn it off, it won't. That's the phone's, hey, it's not a call, but it is a message. If I were to get a call, it would play Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, because, of course, that's what my ringtone is. Why not? And were my alarm to go off, it would be the alarm klaxons from Star Trek. Which is hilarious, because I have never actually watched Star Trek, but I know so much about it because my roommate watches it and tells me all about it. Because I work on the phone as tech support, I'm a lot less prone to making phone calls as I used to be. I still make phone calls fairly regularly when dealing with, like, calling the doctor, things like that. I know a lot of people have switched to just emailing. I still prefer the phone call because I'm very good at picking up nuance in voices, and I want to be able to hear if she's saying, I've got some bad news, then yeah, I definitely want to hear what she is saying at that point. Okay, so now we have 2 elephant's feet. And you know what? I just realized. There. Nope, this way. Okay. 2 elephant's feet. So, I'm going to switch to the Be Right Back mode. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to go and get my scissors so I can end this round and go get the other one. Back in just a few. Okay. Hi, sweetie.
Defumigate in the bathroom. Somebody left the sink.
Would have been one of the boys. And it's not home. These horse. Okay. Okay, so back now. I hadn't realized you were actually a CSR as well. I thought you did tech support like I do. My scissors are actually fairly close to my desk, where I'm sitting, because they were at my desk. However, as I was going to get them, I discovered that a certain fluff-bottom monster had left a pile of vomit on the rug next to my desk, so I had to take care of that. Okay. Alright, so 2 finished elephant feet. Somehow, one of the legs seems smaller than the other. Great. I don't know what I did. That's okay. It's for a little kid, they won't care. It's bright, it's colorful, they'll love it. Yes, that is my rule of thumb when it comes to children's toys. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's bright and colorful, they'll like it. Alright, so back to the beginning, because we are making 4 of these legs. Okay. As always, we are starting with our magic loop. 6 single crochet into the magic loop. Magic loop is one of the few times when I actually refer to crocheting stuff as magic. Knitting I always call magic because it is. I don't know how people can do it. But 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By the way, Mervin, I might be poking you at some point this coming week to see if you would be willing to talk me through OBS setup, because I really want to be able to have my my chat messages show up on the on the games when I'm playing them, because right now I'm not getting an overlay, and it means I'm missing messages when people try to talk to me. Mervin, by the way, I'm sure I've mentioned this before while he's shown up. He has his own stream as Mervin's Musings. He does excellent work where he plays for the kids. He's part of that program, and he is earning money for Children's Hospital in Tennessee, I think. So if you ever want to, you can look up Mervin's Musings, and he plays a lot of Phantasmophobia, he plays Among Us, he plays Goose Goose Duck, and I think you've got a few other games. Those are just the ones I catch normally, but great streamer, love watching him, and he does a lot of charity for good causes. So, right, so we are on row 2, which of course we're increasing in every stitch. That means 2 stitches for each one in the round. That'll go from 6 stitches to 12. So, and once we've gotten row 2 done, we can pull that magic loop tight, and we will have a nice tidy little ring where no stuffing can come out. Right. So. I might have to go back to that first leg and make it just a single row taller. It's a doable addition. That's not a problem. Annoying, because I thought I'd made them the same size. Right, so here's where the magic of the magic ring comes in. There we go. Nice tight little spot. Okay. Now, we'll do that again. Alright, so round 3 we are doing an increase and then a single chain in each stitch around. That means so it's going to be 6 times repeated, and then that'll get us 18. So first stitch, second stitch, and then 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. At some point, I'm gonna do a piece, just a dishcloth, where I show people what happens if you increase by the same amount every single round. So like you just double the number of stitches every round. It looks very interesting. It's kind of roughly is what happens. Okay, so now this is, we're moving on to row 4, which is single chain, increase single chain, 6 times around again. So 1. I'm also going to at some point do a piece that uses joined rounds rather than continuous, so people can see the difference in how those look. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Once I finish this plushie, 24, what I might end up doing as my next on-stream project is doing a stitch sampler where I show people how to make different stitches to get different items. I haven't done one in a long time. The one I did last actually was for a company that was producing or opening a new shop. They wanted to show off how certain fabric or certain yarns worked when you made things with them, and so they asked if I would be willing to do a stitch sampler if they provided the yarn. They went ahead and did so. I provided the sampler, and then they gave me free yarn in return, which was very nice. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Okay. So that was the round 5. Alright, round 6, we're going to end up with 36. It's going to be 2 single chain, increase 2 single chain, 6 times. We are almost to round 8, which is when we do our switch over to back loop only. So, okay. 3, really? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, okay, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Hold on just a minute. One, 32, 34, 35, and 36. Alright, so we're on the last round of increases. And then we'll do our ridge row. Also, for anyone concerned about my shoulder, I do have a doctor's appointment next Saturday, where I will be talking to her and seeing if I can go back on the muscle relaxant she had me on a while back, in hopes of getting some relief from that shoulder. I'm also going to talk to her about potentially looking into physical therapy, though finding a physical therapist that is open on Saturdays is going to be a bit tricky. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that gives me 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. Alright. So we have now reached the point where we are going to switch over to just a single crochet around. We're not going to do any I'm sorry, I just lost words. Helpful of me, isn't it? We're not going to do any increases from here on out. We are, however, going to be working just in the back loops, which will give us that nice little ridge around the base of the foot once it's finished and stuffed. 2. So I can stop counting, thankfully. Okay. So. I actually have no idea how long I've been streaming at this point. I'll check here in just a few. I might call the stream for the night after I finish this round. Well, I've only been going for an hour, that's not bad. Let's see. We'll just have to see. I might go until round 15 is finished, just to make certain that I don't lose my place in the, hey, it's a bunch of rounds where we're not actually increasing or decreasing, we're just doing single chain the whole way around. So we'll see. Let's see. I really do like this mottled blue color. Looks like we're starting to get more purples in it too. I don't think we're on a color change, but it is nice to see the little spots of purple in it. I think it's going to be a really cute plushie once it's all done, and I am sure she's going to love it. So. Let's see. Sorry, stretching out this arm again. I think I might have to call it just because of this arm, which is annoying. I'd rather not, but c'est la vie. I'm coming to the realization that I'm going to have to give up on the idea of joining the strongman competitions once I've had my surgery, because the shoulder's not going to let me do it. The joy of having dislocated it while working as a pizza delivery driver, and I was the closing driver, so they didn't have anyone else there at the time, which meant I had to keep working for another 4-ish hours instead of, going home like a smart person would. And then the very next day, I tried to call in, and they were like, we don't have another driver, you're our only closer. So I went in and worked anyway, with my arm in a sling, and did take the next day off, but then I worked for another week before I finally went to the doctor and got something done with it, by which time the damage was pretty well established, and yeah, I've been paying for that mistake ever since. Remember, folks, your work needs you more than you need them. Do not let yourself fall into the trap of, oh, they can't afford for me to not be there, so I have to work even though it's going to cause injury to myself or harm to myself. You've only got you. You don't get another body. Don't fall into the trap of capitalism saying, yeah, no, I have to do the work anyway, even though it's injurious to myself. Okay, we're starting round 9. Okay. It's just single chains around. No change, just not doing the back loop only this time. I'm gonna see how much I can keep doing. If it gets to be too much, then yeah, I'll call the stream for the night and go put my ice pack on my shoulder. But I'd really rather not have to. By the way, for those who are wondering, this, if you don't remember, this yarn is Lion Brand Mandala, and I believe, I always have to check, the colorway on this is not visible at the moment. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Happy. Happy is the colorway. Which, yes, I think it is very happy. Okay. Let's see. It honestly feels good to be crafting again. I really missed it during the period where I wasn't able to craft because of guilt over not finishing that one commission. It's frustrating that I feel like I don't have time to do this as often as I want, or to do it as much as I want, but at the same time, it feels very soothing when I do get to do it, and maybe I just need to make more time. I mean, yeah, I work 40 hours a week, and then I spend any number of hours managing the household, making certain bills are paid, dealing with crises as they crop up. There's, of course, the time spent when I'm doing my walk, but I know that I could crochet while walking. I've done it before. So there's an opportunity. I just have to remember that I can do that. The only trouble with crocheting while walking is I have a tendency to get distracted and walk into things. So there's that. Okay, so we're going to do round 10. Once again, just single crochet. We're doing just single crochet in continuous rounds up through round 15. When we hit round 16 is when we start our decrease rows. So but yeah, I could probably crochet while walking, as long as it's simple things. I could do blanket squares. Blanket squares are easy. And I still haven't finished my blanket that I was working on for a particular project called the Warm Welcome Project, or Welcome Home Project. Can't remember what it's called. It was, I started it back when the big news was about Syrian refugees that were coming into the U.S. and were being made to feel very unwelcome, and so a lot of crafters started making blanket squares, sending those all in. They were being seamed together and turned into blankets for giving out to the refugees. I believe they've made like thousands of blankets now through that project and sent those out to refugee families that needed a reminder that yes, they are welcome, they are loved. But I at the time was working at a bank in the call center there, and a bunch of my coworkers had seen me working on the blanket squares, because I would crochet on them when I was between calls, and so they started asking. And I brought extra yarn and extra hooks and was teaching them, my coworkers, how to crochet so that they could make squares as well. Then I ended up switching jobs, and no more getting them to help me make blanket squares, and the project kind of languished since then because I've been working on other projects that I very much needed to focus on, mostly my work. My job does not... It used to be when I worked overnight shift that I could crochet as much as I wanted while working, or sew, or write, or do any number of other creative pursuits. But now that I am back on day shift, the call volume is much higher, and so I don't really get a chance. I do keep a mask that I am sewing and have been in the process of sewing for months at my desk, so that if I'm on a call where it's a lot of hurry up and wait, as it happens a lot with tech support, then I can at least work on that. Okay. So we're finishing up row 10. We will do row 11 next. I used to have this handy little thing called a row counter. You strapped it to one of your fingers and it was just a ring, and as you hit finish each row you just tap a button on it and it would keep track of how many rows you were at. I know I still have it, I just don't know where it is. Maybe I should just get a couple more of them. They're cheap. Like, I think it cost me less than $1. But alright, starting row 11. So, but yeah, current job, just don't have the time or the mental energy, that's a big one, to do a lot of the crafting that I used to. There's just, I spend my work days buried elbow deep in other people's computers, at least mentally. I'm not physically doing it, but I'm remoting into their computers and cleaning things and fixing things, and it takes a lot out of you, especially the, okay, I have to sound super happy and chipper and as if talking to this person and fixing their computer is the very best thing ever to happen to me. That's the really draining part, is the emotional toll of that kind of personality that I have. But at the same time, it makes me a highly, highly valued worker, because I get very high scores on the surveys that are sent out. My callers, they may start the call very upset, very angry, but by the end of the call they know that we've done everything we can and I'm sending it out to a team that is supposed to fix it. I regularly have callers who get excited when they hear my voice and hear me say that it's Mason, and they're like, Mason, I'm so glad it's you, because they know that I'm either going to fix it or I'm going to try everything possible to fix it, and if I can't, I'll get it to the people who can. And then they also know that after I've sent it out, if I have to send it out, I'm going to check back and see if that team's doing anything and check in with them and see if they've been reached, things like that. Because I want to make certain that things are fixed. Right now they are updating the VPN client for everybody, which means that I was all week getting calls about, hey, my VPN's suddenly not working. And then while doing the update, they also changed it so that anyone who doesn't have a company machine no longer has access to the VPN. They only have to use a VDI. Well, in the doing of that, they deleted a bunch of VPN accounts. The problem was, not everybody whose account they deleted was one that didn't have a company laptop. So I've been having to re-request VPN accounts for a lot of people who suddenly discovered that they can't get on the network, even though they're using a company laptop. And then, of course, there's the big planned rollout for Windows 11 and all of the Windows patches that are coming through, which for some odd reason, the Windows patches are wrecking the VPNs, and also I had somebody who had a patch come through and suddenly none of his default programs would work, and none of, the programs would work, you just couldn't set them to default. And I mean, these are Microsoft products, like his Excel, his PowerPoint, his projects, none of them. Some patch had gone through and disabled all of them as defaults, and when you tried to set them as default, they didn't even show up in the list as an option, even if you use another program on this computer. What I ended up having to do was find out where those programs were stored and then try to open files using that file extension as open file as, digging around until I found the program, and then setting it to always use this extension. We're starting around 12, by the way. Which finally that we did, and it worked, but we had to go through and do that for every single program. So, Adobe, and Excel, and Word, and Projects, and Access, and even his Outlook was not set to his default. So it was a real pain, and took ages. For one, in a lot of cases we had to search where the file for the program was located, because we were having to actually open it from the direct. We couldn't use like a shortcut to open it. So it was fun, but we got it done, and he was happy by the end of it because everything was working again. So I don't know. There's a reason that I say, not entirely jokingly, that the longer I work in tech support, the less I trust technology. I won't have something like a Ring doorbell or a... I don't have a Alexa. I turned off Cortana the minute that I got the Windows 10 upgrade, and I turn her off again every time that... the updates try and turn her back on. I have Google Assist turned off on my phone since it's a Google Pixel. I have never used Siri or anything like that. Just does not seem wise to me to have more ways for any company to watch you. And I get it. I'm being tracked every day by, Facebook and Google and myriad other things. And I mean, my phone carrier always knows where my phone is. Things like that. And certain of those you can't really avoid. They're just so built and ingrained into society that you don't have a choice but to participate, unless you want to be a complete Luddite and get rid of all of your technology. But, running things like uBlock Origin, using a VPN when you are online, things like that, a safe one. And admittedly, not everybody can afford to pay for a VPN. Not everybody can do something like that, so don't feel bad if you can't. Just take what precautions you can. Turn off tracking cookies. If you go to a website that is insistent that you have to sign up for an account to access it, like a lot of newspapers, you have to either have an account, and normally it's a paid subscription account to see things. Turn off Java on that website. It'll let you read it anyway. Just block Java. Quick and easy. I do it for Wall Street Journal all the time. And Scientific American, which, it pisses me off that we're starting around 13, by the way, that you can't access scientific journals without a subscription. Because if people are doing a search to find out information on something, they're going to check the free sites. Which means if they're trying to look into things like critical race theory, transgenderism, homosexuality, they're not going to be reading Scientific American. They're not going to be reading the various, like the American Medical Journal, things like that. No, they're going to be finding the information on free sites. Like Breitbart and Fox News. And by making science less accessible, by putting it behind a paywall, we are actively making our nation a dumber nation. And it annoys me. Because I like being around smart people. I like being around well-educated, well-informed people. I don't like having to try and explain to people that, no, someone else having rights does not infringe on yours. And not only is it leading to a less intelligent America, but it's also leading to a more radicalized, by the far right, America. So, it's definitely an issue. Hold on a sec. 8, 9, 10, 12. I don't remember which round I'm on. What I'm going to have to do is when I finish this round, I'll have to call the stream, go back, listen to see which round I was on, and then I'll just pick it up next week. Because I don't want to make too many rounds and end up with an elephant foot that is too tall, as I apparently did with the last one. So, okay. Alright, it'll be fine. So, we're almost done with this round. Once we finish, I'll go ahead and call it for the day. We will pick up again next week. I do not believe that I have anything that is going to make my stream delayed. So it should happen at around 12:30 to 1-ish Central Central Daylight Savings Time. My goodness, I can talk. And then, of course, the Tor stream, which is not Tor for this week and the next, is going to be the Guild Wars stream, since that went so well when I was doing that. Final Fantasy turned out to be a complete bust on streaming. Plus, it turns out that my primary server, a fairly high-name WoW streamer, just started playing Final Fantasy and chose my primary server. So the server is absolutely packed, queues of well over 100 people, takes forever to log in, and it's so laggy you can't do anything when you are logged in. Alright, so, it's been almost an hour and a half. That's not a bad stream for me. I do want to thank everyone who made it out. I hope that everyone has a wonderful week and that everybody stays safe. Don't take stupid risks, people. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family, your friends. Just be gentle. Be excellent to everyone. And I will see you guys next week. Alright. Be careful. Be safe. Remember that you're loved. Bye.